up getting, like, every single Magical Knight squad offers him a bid to join, and he joins, like, one of the most prestigious, which is the Golden Dawn.
Meanwhile, Asta's kind of like no one cares because he doesn't have magic.
Yeah.
Except for one certain group.
Well, so he ran into, I forgot to mention, he ran into the leader of the Black Bulls because he was lost looking for a place to take a crap. And no, I'm not joking, that's literally why he was lost. It will come up again, trust me. So he goes, and he ends up like getting in an argument because Asta, being Asta, ends up being like, wow, you look really old for your age, because everyone taking the Magical Knights exam is presumed to be younger. And then this character Yami, which is probably my favorite character in the series,
Voiced by Chris Sabat,
lifting him by the head and trying to kill him. But he ends up actually, during Asta kind of begs and is like, please, I have to join the Magical Knights, please. And Yami kind of jumps down, and at first he's berating him, but then he's like, you know what? I like your stuff.
Hey guys, I'm Bill, a one-time Instagram blogger and now a podcaster.
And I'm Alex, the chaotic neutral.
And together we are the Gaming and Collecting Podcast.
A brother-sister duo.
That talks about gaming.
And also anime.
And don't forget the collecting. Sometimes.
Ah, forget it. We're just a nostalgia podcast at this point.
But anyways, guys, thanks for joining us as we discuss the games that shaped us. So, how you been?
Well, it's been about 5 seconds since we filmed the last podcast, so I'm doing great.
Well, what are you drinking this time? Still your Sprite?
I'm still
Sprite
drinking
addict?
my Sprite, sir. It's a lemon lime Sprite. Last one for a while. They're only going to be treats now. No more fueling the addiction because I am fat and ugly. Ow! Ow! So
Now I'm drinking a sparkling ice caffeine,
Bill.
cherry vanilla flavored.
There's a rat in the window.
Yeah, that's your cat.
For those who don't know, she has many names. She is the lizard.
The
Tillard.
Connecticut rat lizard.
Tillard, a rat bitch. And then my baby, and then Wooster, and then
Tillard.
and Tilly. She's the third co-host.
Yeah, she's a little menace sometimes.
She's being good right now. She's just watching everyone
Watching your neighbor drive away.
and birds. She loves watching the birds.
Yep. But anyways, so moving on, we're actually returning to another installment of Alex's favorite series,
Dun, 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 dun. Anime Swap.
So
My baby.
it's been a little.
My show. I came up with it. All rights go to me. Thank you. Fuck you.
So it's been a while since we did the last one. So
Yeah,
this is-
because we picked two very long series.
Yeah. So I believe actually the last one we recorded was
Kaguya.
it was
Oh, wait,
Kaguya.
was it?
Yeah, it was Kaguya and Slime.
Was it?
Yeah,
Dang, that's a while ago.
it was. It's
Oh,
funny because
we did the movies too.
well that's
And that's different series. It's anime movies.
we recorded that one. I think that was like our second week in the new the condo.
Yeah.
But we started the preparations for this one still in the apartment. That's
Yeah.
how long ago it was.
Yeah.
So for this one, we went a bit ambitious. This is our 7th installment of Anime Swap. Where
Yes.
so starting with the 5th one, we decided we were going to do full series, not just do like small little snippets.
Yeah.
And so this one we went very ambitious, and we did both two very long animes.
Yeah.
To be honest, it was going to be even more ambitious, but we decided to scrap the
Original idea.
and change
One of the series.
one of the shows just because it was going to take too long.
Yeah.
So I guess for this one, we decided to do, Alex brought up Black Clover,
Yes.
and I brought up Yu Yu Hakusho
Yes.
to finally get that one off my bucket list.
Yeah, mine too.
So I guess the first one we watched, we should probably start with Black Clover.
Yeah.
So My first time watching it, Alex is probably like third time for all I know.
Yeah. Well, third time of like doing. I've always gone back to it, kind of like One Piece, but not as crazy. Where like I'll go back and like watch my favorite arcs, favorite fights and stuff. But I guess to start, I'll just kind of give a little plot synopsis.
Well, I guess backstory though. First, it's based off a manga written by Yuki Tabata.
Yes.
As an ongoing manga. We'll get to that later.
It is still ongoing. But it was first adapted in 2017, and it aired from October 2017 to March 2021. While the anime stopped, the manga has actually continued, and I'll kind of hint about it later on. But it's a like Shonen Jump manga. And I really enjoy the manga, and I've really enjoyed the show. So to kind of start off, like the series focuses on the main character, Asta, as well as his fellow orphan brother, Yuno. Asta is an orphan. I forgot to mention that. So it kind of centers around Asta and Yuno, and the world that they're in. Everyone uses magic, or they can utilize mana. Which is the form of magical power. And everyone around them has magical power. And kind of how it works in this world is that nobility has the strongest magic, while the not nobility and poorer people have the weaker magic. So the more status you have, the stronger you are. And with Asta was born with no magic. He's never been able to utilize it. But for a while he thought maybe he just had very minimal magic, and once he got a grimoire, he would be able to do some magic.
Mm-hmm. It's also left ambiguous at the start, because both him and Yuno are dropped off at the orphanage at the same time, and it's kind of left ambiguous whether they're truly related or not, despite them looking nothing alike.
Yeah, they really don't know, but both of them were left at the orphanage
completely
together.
By happenstance, as
no,
we'll get to
yeah,
later.
as you will get to later. And one thing is different. So Asta, no magic, and instead of focusing on the magic he doesn't have, he decides to focus on his physical strength and works really hard to work out his body and become strong. While Yuno, on the other hand, was born with almost prodigy level magic, where he's incredibly strong, and his magic is on the level of like someone who's royal or nobility, which is really shocking for everyone around them. So at a certain age, I think when they're 15, they can go and they'll go to a magic tower and get a grimoire, and everyone does it. It's kind of like a ceremony for them. So as they go and they're going through their ceremony, everyone's getting their grimoires, and Yuno gets this magical 4-leaf grimoire.
Because the majority of them only have 3 leaves.
Yeah, so this is also, I forgot to mention, they live in the Clover Kingdom, so clovers are a big symbol. So everyone usually has a 3-leaf clover, but if you have a 4-leaf clover, it's especially strong. So it's like, I believe like the first leaf it's like the 3 leaves represent something. The 4th leaf represents like, I think like an extra amount of luck. And then I'll mention another one later. So Yuno gets this awesome grimoire. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, that's amazing! They're so rare."
Meanwhile,
and they're
Asta's
only given
standing there.
Yeah, and they're only given to the most powerful mages. And then Asta's standing there, arms up in the air, and he's like, "Where is it?" And Asta doesn't get a grimoire. And this kind of instates that Asta has no magic whatsoever. That he can't get one. So.
And the saddest part is he looks at the guy, and the guy's like, "Better luck next year."
Yeah, no. And it leads to Asta, it gets kind of down on himself, and he almost starts, like, questioning his goals, because his goal is, like, I'm going to be the Wizard King, but how can I be the Wizard King without a grimoire? In the meantime, Yuno has his amazing grimoire, but people, jealousy, are jealous, and they decide to plot against him to take his grimoire. So Yuno's getting attacked. He beats the first 2, but then he ends up actually encountering a former magical knight who was kicked out, who has like chain magic, and he like almost defeats Yuno. But Asta comes in to save Yuno, even though he has no magic, and the guy starts like berating him, and Asta, you can kind of see him almost giving up in that scene, but then suddenly a dark and black grimoire appears down with not 4 clovers, not 3 clovers, but the 5-leaf clover grimoire. And what they say in it is that the 5th leaf contains the devil. Which, in the beginning, you're just kind of like, okay, weird. You don't really know it, but later on, you'll kind of figure out why. Mm-hmm. So, Asta is able to pull out this magical sword that possesses the power of anti-magic. So, with the sword, he's able to cancel out any magic, and he ends up helping and saving Yuno. And it also kind of, like, reinvigorates him to, like, try again and be like, okay, I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to do this. I have a way now. I can do it. So it helped him, and Yuno's grateful, and Yuno declares him as his rival. So, and they're rivals. So
friendly rivals.
Yeah, and they have a great relationship. So
one thing this show is heavily compared to Naruto in a lot of ways, which watching it, it's very apparent.
I agree.
What's interesting though, dynamic is it's clearly Asta's supposed to be Naruto and Yuno's supposed to be Sasuke.
Yeah.
But they have such a polar opposite like relationship to Naruto and Sasuke in reality because they actually like each other.
Yeah.
To start, and they just get more respect for each other as it goes on.
Yeah, and it actually shows in flashbacks. The reason, like, Yuno wasn't always brave and, like, and strong, but because Asta got hurt, that kind of pushed Yuno to be like, I'm going to be the Wizard King because he wants to protect Asta in a way. So they have a really great relationship. And even though it's, like, sometimes they, like, argue, like, they're always there for each other, which is really nice.
Also,
especially
another fun, like, little swap around is in Naruto. So I don't know if these comparisons are just a funny coincidence or not, but in Naruto, like, Sasuke's got all the fangirls and no one cares about Naruto except for the one girl.
Yeah.
In this one, Asta's got all the fangirls and no one really cares about Yuno.
Well, Yuno has fangirls too, but
they're not nearly as
but Asta does. Yeah. So
Yuno's got one particular fangirl.
Yeah. So after they get their grimoires, they both kind of do their own bits of training. And off to the side, you don't really see it, but Asta is actually getting trained by someone else, which it comes up later, but he's actually getting trained on how to use his sword by a wizard that uses, like, wind sword magic. So he's actually getting trained on the side.
Asta's magic's interesting. Well, not really magic, I guess you could say.
Anti-magic.
His whole powers are cool because he just has fuck you swords.
Yeah, in this world of magic, he says goodbye. You know, magic be gone. Which in a lot of battles, it throws so many people off. And, like, his next big challenge is right now they're just people, but they want to be magic knights in order to become the Wizard King in their goal. So they have to go take the magic knight.
Asta's character is literally like the definition of just never give up.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what he says. He's like, my magic is never giving up. That's his magic, you know.
Pretty much, which is funny.
So they go and they take the exam, and Asta's like failing miserably because he can't
fly the broom.
He can't fly the broom. He can't like do most of the things, but Asta can do some things. So. And Yuno's doing great. He's passing it with flying colors. So, what happens is there's a combat trial, and he's going up against this guy who becomes known as Haha because of his like Lily.
How did I forget about Haha?
You don't even remember his name because even the other characters start referring to him as Haha because of his laughter. So he kind of was wheeling Asta along, being like, it's okay, man. But in the end, he chooses to battle him. He's like, I've been using you this whole time to make myself look better.
Yeah. And
Asta's like, whatever. And he kind of brushes it off, and he beats him in one hit of his sword.
Yes.
Which is a very badass scene. And it's like, everyone's just like, what? It has to be a fluke. It has to be a fluke. Blah, 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 blah. So Yuno goes, and Yuno beats his as well, and Yuno ends up getting, like, every single magical knight squad offers him a bid to join, and he joins, like, one of the most prestigious, which is the Golden Dawn.
Meanwhile, Asta's kind of like, no one cares because he doesn't have magic.
Yeah.
Except for one certain group.
Well, so I forgot to mention, he ran into the leader of the Black Bulls because he was lost looking for a place to take a crap. And no, I'm not joking. That's literally why he was lost. It will come up again. Trust me. So he goes, and he ends up like getting in an argument because Asta, being Asta, ends up being like, "Wow, you look really old for your age," because everyone taking the Magical Knights exam is presumed to be younger. And then this character Yami, which is probably my favorite character in the series,
voiced by Chris Sabat,
lifting him by the head and trying to kill him. But he ends up actually, during Asta kind of begs and is like, "Please, I have to join the Magical Knights, please." And Yami kind of jumps down, and at first he's berating him, but then he's like, "You know what? I like your stuff. Join my crew."
Little do we know that he joins the group called the Black Bulls,
the Black Bulls.
And they're like the joke.
They're the worst squad.
They're the joke of the Magic Knights.
So, basically after that, you see a lot of Asta and Yuna basically doing stuff with their own squads, and sometimes teaming up together. And as you go along, you see Asta's getting stronger, and Yuna is getting stronger as well.
And then we progressively get introduced to the rest of the Black Bulls.
Yes.
They're a bunch of characters.
They are. I love all the Black Bulls characters. I think and it's really nice because they all do get their own kind of time to shine.
What's funny about them is they're all actually really powerful magic users. They're just all so fucking goofy that they can't.
Yeah. Well, they all kind of have their own character quirks where one of the first ones you'll run into is like they first kind of go through his like character building is like Magma, where he's kind of was a delinquent and was terrorizing a town, but then he ends up like befriending the leader of the town because he always kicked his butt, and he ends up kind of guiding him to be like, you know what, you should become a magical knight and use those abilities for good. So he does that, and they actually end up going back to the village to save the village after he tragically dies, which is like the first encounter of the first villain of the series, which is known as the Eye of the Midnight Sun. So you're kind of going along, you're seeing Asta and Yuna respectively fight the Eye of the Midnight Sun in these great battles, and then eventually we build up to a point where after one of the battles with one of the Third Eye members of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, Asta ends up, his arms are cursed, and they need to find a way to break the curse. Which leads to Vanessa's, who's one of the Black Bulls, Vanessa's home of the Queen of Witches, where she's the daughter of the Queen of Witches. So she ends up going back home to ask her mother to uncurse Asta. And you'll quickly learn that they have not the best relationship.
No.
And she actually has a pretty dark story where her mom kept her in a bird cage because she wanted to see her unlock her true potential, which her magic is string magic. And her mom believed, the Queen of Witches believed that she could potentially alter fate with the red string of fate. And she believes that could be part of her magic if she unlocks it. So
I always laugh too because Vanessa's a fun character because she's from this whole group of witches who there's no men around.
Yeah.
But then Vanessa's entire character is just getting drunk all the time.
Yeah. So she's letting loose and having fun basically. So
but she's also like one of the most powerful people in the group.
Oh yeah, especially with this magic. So her mom is actually correct, and Vanessa does have the ability to alter fate, and she gains it in this battle. So what happens is she goes to beg her mom, and her mom is basically like, no, I'm not doing that. But at the same time, Asta and his friends, especially he met up with his friend who taught him how to use the sword at the very beginning of the story. And it kind of comes back now. They end up helping him, helping them get into the Forest of Witches because his wife was one of the witches from the forest. So they end up going there, and they end up sneaking in. And while they're there, they actually end up breaking a deal with the Queen of Witches to heal Asta in order to help them defeat the Eye of the Midnight Sun, who's attacking, as well as the Diamond Kingdom, another kingdom that they go to war with. So at this point, she's like, all right, what do I have to lose? And she gives, and she heals them. But unknowingly to everyone else, at the same time she's healing him, she's also unlocking a special ability. Yeah. And Asta's about to get a huge power-up that is going to help him out tenfold in the future. And honestly, for me, this is when the show really starts to pick up. Because Asta can just do so much more after this. So they end up beating the Eye of the Midnight Sun, as well as the Diamond Kingdom. And they actually end up, Asta ends up befriending one of the Diamond Kingdom soldiers, because he actually already had an encounter with him before. As well as freeing the Eye of the Midnight Sun, one of the Third Eye leaders actually ends up freeing her because she was actually a member of the Diamond Kingdom before she was possessed. Because, spoiler alert, all of the Eye of the Midnight Sun are all of the elf people who were all tragically annihilated in the past. But that's later on. So they end up doing that, but one of the Diamond Soldiers still has enough power and ends up basically trying to, like, destroy them. So Asta is knocked down, but during that time, the Queen of Witches kind of appears on screen. She's like, alright, it's time to see this power into action. And from there, you're actually able to see that Asta is able to utilize anti-magic in a whole new way, where he can actually, and the craziest part is he's only using about like a quarter of that, like not even barely, he's barely tapping into it, but he's using anti-magic that's basically flowing through his body, so he's able to do a lot of things that other wizards could do.
So one thing I did notice too is this, while the show is primarily based around Asta, there is 3 characters that kind of get the most screen time out of them.
Yeah.
Which is Asta, of course, Yuno, and then another character we haven't mentioned yet, Noelle.
Yes, and I can't believe I haven't mentioned Noelle. So Noelle actually also joins the Black Bulls. In her storyline, she has a very tragic storyline where she's actually royalty. She's from the royal house of Silva, and her brother is actually the leader of the Silver Eagles. And her family has always been.
And then her other brother and other sister are utter pieces of shit.
Yeah, but it's you'll find out later why.
You'll find out later why, but you still don't like them.
Yeah, no, it's still wrong what they did.
The older brother you gain respect for as it goes.
Yes. And the sister as well. I mean, she is she's kind of redeemed earlier than he is. Well, they all are. It's difficult. But Noelle is kind of, it starts out with her problem is that she has so much magical ability, it's hard she can't control it. So for her time in the Black Bulls is kind of learning to control that magic. And during her time and her being around people who are encouraging her and like care about her, it actually lets her be able to control her magic. So, and it's great to kind of see her storyline. And she's always though kind of like the Sundari character of like, I don't like Asta, but then like
she totally
and, like,
does.
She turns to the side and like whispers, she's like, I love him.
Problem is she has a lot of competition.
Oh yeah, like Asta definitely is the one with a lot of competition.
Meanwhile, though, Asta is only in love with Sister Lily.
Yes, Sister Lily.
The nun.
Yeah, and then so after this, basically Asta got a huge power up, and after this moment, that's when, another big thing that happens is they end up having like a ranking ceremony, and at the ranking ceremony they announce the new rankings for the Magical Knights, and the Black Bulls, who have always been dead last, because you gain stars, you gain like magical stars for all your good deeds, and they would be negative stars. But this year, they actually jumped up to second place. And when you actually think about it, and you probably calculate all the negative ones they had before Asta joined, if they didn't have all those, they might have actually won, you know?
Yeah.
With the amount of stars that they had.
Well, the problem was the group just didn't care.
Yeah.
Because Yami was
Asta,
Yami.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because Yami is one of the most powerful people in the entire show.
Oh, yeah. Yami definitely is. So,
I guess before we progress, we'll probably talk about some of the Black Bulls, because they're all very important to the show.
Oh, yeah. Each of the Black Bulls, they all kind of have their own special... I just didn't want to... I'd be talking forever if I kept going. But all of the Black Bulls are incredibly... Like, Yami is incredibly strong, and that's kind of why he's a captain.
Each has an arc, too.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yami has an interesting story where he actually wasn't native of the Clover Kingdom. He was native of a kingdom far, far away. So, well, most of the characters aren't really, like, Japanese. Like, Yami would be considered, like, the Japanese character, where he's a foreigner. And a lot of people make fun of him for it. But yet, he's still strong enough to be one of the captains of
he's strong enough, but he also just doesn't care enough, so like
yeah, so well, he's never cared.
Well, it's not that he doesn't care, it's just he has no real desire to.
Well, the thing is, well, he does, it's just more of like he kind of has a rivalry with the Golden Dawn captain, as they were both in the squad before under the king. But more Yami's desires, a lot of it falls into like his gratefulness towards the Wizard King, because well, everyone kind of turned him away. The Wizard King helped him kind of be where he is today, and he always has that gratefulness towards him. Because you see later on in the fight where the Wizard King gets hurt, like he protects him and makes sure like that even though he's hurt, that like he will survive. So Yami has a great debt to him. A lot of the Black Bulls are great. There's Magma. There's
Who's the portal guy?
The portal guy, that's Longris. And Longris,
his character arc is also pretty interesting.
A lot of them have really incredibly strong magic and incredibly, like, I definitely recommend you watch it. I don't want to go in forever or else, like, because this is a long series, but definitely take a watch. That each of the Black Bulls kind of gets their character arcs, and even then, like, it's not like it's one and done. Like, they're constantly growing and they're constantly building. So after the ranking ceremony, they also announced the actual king of Clover Kingdom, not the Wizard King, the king who sucks. He's the worst, and no one likes him. And it's even like a joke where all the people are like, "Why do we even have a king? We should just have the Wizard King."
That's why his advisor was.
Yes. Well, he's not his advisor. He ends up. I'll get into it how they end up being connected. But basically, he announces that they are going to challenge. They found the Eye of the Midnight Sun's base, and that they are going to. A big yawn from Tilly. They found the base, and that they're going to form the Royal Knights. And the Royal Knights are led by Meriliona, who's my favorite character. Freaking love Meriliona.
The gif of her running like a psychopath.
She is the best character. She has firepower. She's part of one of the royal families.
She loves Yami.
No. Oh, that's Charlotte.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Wrong.
No.
Wrong one.
Yeah,
that's Blondie.
No,
that's
Meriliona.
Blondie. No, yeah, she's the fire bitch.
Yeah, the fire. So, and she actually takes over as the captain of the Crimson Lions because her brother actually gets hurt and is in like a coma. Which we like him too. We love that family. They're all great characters. But Meriliona is the best.
I like the younger brother too, who just like is like Asta's rival. Just because.
Well, and it's what's great about him too is that like even though he's royalty, he immediately doesn't look down upon Asta in their first meeting. He's like, "You're my rival. Like, I want to be the Wizard King too. You're my rival."
There's a lot of friendly rivalries in this show.
Yeah, but it's also nice that, like, because a lot of the time, Asta and Yuno get put down a lot because they weren't from royalty and they were from, like, Hajj Village, which is, one of the farthest villages from the kingdom, the capital. So they're considered the most weak people, and they're usually the magical knights from that area. So they're automatically, you'll see there's a lot of like, not, it's like power is, I guess, like if you don't have strong.
It's just old nobility and power struggles. Yeah,
nobility and power struggles. So, and the Royal Knights are formed and they do this big exam in order to get in. And it's also the first where it's kind of a spoiler into what's going to happen to what's the big conflict is going to be. So they form the magical Royal Knights, and the Royal Knights go and they attack the base. And then through this arc, you kind of realize who the villains actually are. And as I kind of said earlier, they are the elves that were all annihilated in the past. And they get reincarnated. So throughout the story, like, the Eye of the Midnight Sun has been trying to collect these magical stones. Mm-hmm. And these magical stones are actually relics from the elves. Like, the elves created these stones, and they're the only ones that can really utilize them. So they use the magical stones in order to reincarnate all the elves. So what happens is, as this mission is happening, all the magical knights and just regular people throughout Clover Kingdom are being reincarnated as these elves and attacking everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So their mission that they started to go and attack the base gets basically thwarted really quickly because half of their team ends up getting possessed and turned into elves.
Almost like these people were picked for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you'll actually see the Golden Dawn, that squad, you'll actually see the leader of the Golden Dawn. He actually is 2 souls in one body.
Mm-hmm.
And the leader of the Eye of the Midnight Sun was also controlling his body. And he ends up giving his body completely to the leader of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. So yes. You find that out, and Yami ends up battling him, and that's where the Wizard King actually gets hurt too.
Yeah.
Because they end up fighting.
The Wizard King's such a goofball too.
The Wizard King is such a great character, and he's very interesting, and he gets even more interesting in the manga, but I'm not going to spoil that for anyone. We're just talking about the anime. So, basically, this battle against the elves ensues, and you're starting to realize that, like, something seems very off about this whole battle. Like, there's just so many things that aren't answered, and you're trying to figure out what the real intentions are behind it, and it's slowly coming true. So what you do find out is that the elves being annihilated was all a setup.
Mm-hmm.
It was all set up by one of the devils from the underworld. So, and that's kind of where I'm like, we're going back to, remember the fifth clover?
Yeah.
The 5th leaf is the devil. Well, that's a real thing. So what happened was Asta's grimoire was actually the grimoire of the leader of the elves. And when they were annihilated, he almost like was possessed by the devil, and the devil took over his grimoire. But he fought off of it and like kept his humanity and pushed the devil out. But the grimoire was already tainted basically and became a devil's grimoire. So this whole plot is basically the whole reason the elves are actually just being manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole time he thinks he's doing that, but really all he was doing was setting up for the devil to come out and basically come to out of the underworld. Which is all, like, it's actually a really good story. Like, it's very interesting and really, like, you're
complicated.
Like, what? Complicated, and it's surprising. But what ends up happening is the elves in the Magical Knights end up joining together to kind of beat the devil. And it's really Asta and Yuno end up beating the devil, because he's incredibly strong because they have special magic. Like, the devil ends up having, like, wordplay magic or something, where whatever he speaks, like, that comes to life. Like, that comes. So he's, like, barrage of swords. And then, like, swords are just coming out of nowhere from the sky and, like, destroying them. So it is really interesting. So basically they fight that. Asta and Yuno. Asta kind of gets a little bit of a power-up where he's able to access even more of his devil's power. Because what happened with his grimoire is that grimoire that the devil they were fighting lost ended up being taken by a different devil, which is the devil that has anti-magic.
We'll get to later.
Yes, but it's being kind of revealed now. So they end up winning the fight, and they end up, the elves end up leaving the bodies and going to heaven, and all the magical knights come back, except for a certain 4, which are the Eye of the Midnight Sun, which had their, like, own bodies, as well as the leader. But they end up actually, leaving and swearing to, like, not bother the kingdom anymore and kind of fix all their sins, basically. Which it also kind of gets brought up later on. But after this point, as I said earlier, the Wizard King was gravely injured. And what they find out is that the Wizard King is now a child.
Yeah.
He had used a magical item, to come back, that basically reversed him back, but he only put enough magic in for him to be a child. So, whoops, a child. So the next conflict is basically someone needs to be blamed for this, and guess who they decide to blame? Asta, because he has weird powers. So Asta is basically being blamed and being called the devil himself. So the next arc is basically leading into they have to research devils and kind of prove that Asta is innocent and that he saved the kingdom and didn't destroy them. Because ugh, it's a little frustrating.
My favorite part here too is you get more. The Black Bulls are funny because suddenly they just keep getting more and more members as the show goes on.
Yeah. We've gotten at this point, we've gotten a whole bunch more from when they started, or they just weren't exactly there, or they're opening up.
Well, there's Mr. Sleeping the whole time.
Yes.
Who controls their base?
Yes. Or he has he basically owns the whole base, and the whole base is his power.
It's a transformer. It's literally a transformer.
He becomes the Black Bull himself. So their next kind of step in the story is that they need to research the devils, and the devils. Right now, there's a lot of information on the devils in the Heart Kingdom as well as the Spade Kingdom. So they end up venturing to the Heart Kingdom where they meet the queen of the Heart Kingdom, and she ends up telling them why there's so much devil's power, and it turns out she was cursed by the devil Magicula.
Yep.
And Magicula is a very important character because Magicula is very tied to Noelle. So there's a reason why Noelle's family was such jerks. So kind of the reason why so what happened was when Noelle was born, their mother died, and the younger brother and sister kind of blamed her for her death, even though it's not. And the oldest brother kind of knew why this whole time, so she ends up finding out that the devil Magicula, who cursed the queen of the Heart Kingdom, also cursed her mother and killed her mother. And the reason why she never knew is because if they talk about it, she will die too. So that's why her brother and sisters never knew. Only her eldest brother knew.
Yeah.
So this whole time, you kind of understand why they're like this. I mean, they still suck for it, but at the same time, you're like, okay, I can understand why this happened. And so now, Noelle has even more motive that they should beat the devils and find out the secret and basically show them. So this is kind of leading up to basically the Spade Kingdom and how they're going to fight the Spade Kingdom to defeat the devils.
Yes.
And the Spade Kingdom is currently run by 3 people who are devil possessed.
Yes.
And they are incredibly strong.
Yes.
Incredibly strong. So what they have to do is they decide, the Queen of Hearts basically tells them, you guys are not strong enough now. No. You got to get stronger. So they end up actually training for, I think, almost a year.
Yeah, it's like a time skip, but it's not a massive time skip.
It's not, yeah. It's I'd say it's under a year. But they end up training in the Heart Kingdom, and the people chosen to train there get a lot stronger, including Asta.
Asta just gets fucking ripped by the end of it.
Asta does get ripped, and he unlocks more abilities. Now he can fly on his sword.
Yep, and then another member gets fat, but that's besides the point.
Charmy. We love Charmy. So what ends up happening is after the training, they end up starting, they're going to start getting ready to fight the Spade Kingdom. But before they can even start prepping, Spade Kingdom, you good?
Yeah, it was a shiver.
Okay. He just went, twitched. The Spade Kingdom ends up launching attacks before they even were. So one of them attacks the Heart Kingdom. Another attacks the Golden Dawn. With the intent to kidnap the leader of the Golden Dawn. The Heart, they attack
Vengeance, right?
Lord Vengeance, yep. Yes. To attack the leader of the Golden Dawn because he has World Tree magic. And then they also attack the Heart Kingdom with the intent to attack the Queen. Because if the Queen falls, the whole kingdom will fall. Yes. Because that's kind of how the Heart Kingdom works, is that the Queen kind of runs the whole kingdom.
And the Golden Dawn gets wrecked.
The Golden Dawn does get wrecked, and at the same time, they attack another place. They attack the Black Bulls with the intent of capturing Yami, who had dark magic.
Yami, and also it's implied they want Vanessa as well, because she's extremely powerful.
Well, it isn't their original intent, but the man who attacks them is very greedy, and he wouldn't attack them for her magic. He just would for his own.
Yeah, because he's a horny bastard.
He's a creep.
But she is also powerful on the level.
Oh, yeah. Well, because she can control fate, which is an incredible ability. So this is happening, and Asta, who had come back to visit, is there, and he's able to help in the fight.
So what's interesting about these three devils is two of them you just don't like. They're meant to be extremely unlikable. The third one, the leader of the three, he is the most interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not likable either, but he's like, you kind of like to hate him.
Yeah.
The other two you just don't like. They're not likable characters at all.
Yeah. And he's possessed by the strongest devil, like the Lucifero, who's the strongest devil.
And also there's an interesting point during, like, where he can talk to the devil during fights.
Yeah.
And the devil mentions, like, he sees Asta's devil, and he's like, who is that one?
Yeah.
Because Asta's devil is different.
Yeah, Asta's, yes. His devil, and you'll kind of find that out as well. So, with the fight with Yuno, with the Golden Dawn, Yuno rushes back to help them. And Yuno almost dies. That's how the Golden Dawn get
wrecked.
They get wrecked, and it clearly shows just how tough, like, the devil that they fought before is nothing compared to who they're fighting now. Yeah. And keep in mind, the Golden Dawn are considered the strongest magical knights in the kingdom. So if they're getting wrecked, like, they're fucked. So Yuno actually almost dies, but
they get all saved by Vangeance's power.
Yeah, before Vangeance was kidnapped, he used the last of his magic to perform World Tree magic and heal them all. But as you'll see, a lot of them actually do die, which is really sad, because some of them were actually characters that you, like, had seen a lot and connected with, and you were like, oh my god, no. So at this point, Yuno has to actually stand in as the captain, because he's the vice captain at this point.
So one key moment there too is that out of the three devils that fight, the one that really they can't stand a chance to is the one that attacks the Golden Dawn.
Yeah.
Like, he destroys them immediately and then fucks off.
Yeah.
The other two, there is some promise in those fights.
Yeah.
But the key thing is, though, you gotta remember that third one is out there.
Yes. No, yeah. So, and going back to the Heart Kingdom, they actually had a plan to fight the devil, which the one they're fighting is the one that is Magicula has possessed, which is the devil that has hurt Noelle personally and has cursed the queen. So they have this whole plan, but the plan, it gets foiled, and it doesn't go as they thought. So the queen does get captured, and they do, like, that's the thing, they lost the fight.
They put up a better fight than the Golden Dawn did, though.
Oh yeah, they definitely did.
Like, you get the fight, you get Noelle finally goes full badass.
Yeah.
Who's the orange-haired girl? I forget.
Mimosa.
Mimosa, the love rival for
the other love rival, and as well as
Charmy.
And I was talking about I'm forgetting her name right now.
Oh, the bird bitch.
Yeah, bird bitch. No, I'm forgetting on her name, but they do end up, though, after losing the fight, they actually end up getting saved by the elves from the past. And they actually find out that there was more elves living there, and they actually found the living relatives of the past leader of the elves, because he actually was getting married when the attack, which makes it even more heartbreaking. It was his wedding day, and his wife was pregnant, and it was implied that she died, but she actually did live. And her children lived on, and there's now other elves that they were able to meet and befriend, which was really nice. But they're actually going to act as, like, a little training arc for them. But jumping back to the Black Bulls, Asta and the Black Bulls are struggling, and Yami actually wasn't there at the time, and then he comes there to help.
And we get one of the most badass fights in the series.
Oh yeah, this is by far the best fight in the series. Especially, my favorite moment is when Yami tosses his sword to Asta, and they actually do defeat the devil. Like, they defeat the guy possessing them, but unfortunately, as you said,
third devil still hanging out,
third devil was still there, and they do take away Yami. With the reason why they're after Yami and Vangeance.
You want to talk about a downer ending? Like, literally, they lose.
Yeah, no, they all lose. It is a bummer, and the reason why they captured them is because what they want to do is they actually want to create this. I forget exactly what it's called, but basically they're combining their magic in order to create a tree in the underworld for all demons to escape, all devils to escape.
Because of course.
So this is some serious stuff.
And then we get the mother of all plot dumps.
Oh yeah.
Where we find out Yuno's backstory and Asta's backstory.
Yeah. So you find out that Yuno is actually the true king of the Clover Kingdom.
No, the Spade Kingdom.
Of the Spade Kingdom. Sorry. The true king of the Spade Kingdom.
Because the devils murdered his... Well, they definitely murdered the father. The mothers imply... I don't know. It's unclear. Or you've seen the future more.
I know what happened, but I don't want to spoil it because you haven't seen it, but I've read it.
The anime, it's left ambiguous.
It's left ambiguous, but that also explains so many things to everyone. It's like, oh, that's why he's so strong, because he's royalty.
And but Asta's backstory, on the other hand, is...
Asta's actually is interesting, too, because what they end up finding out is that the devil who possesses Asta's grimoire... who is Asta's grimoire, basically.
Actually befriended his mother.
Yeah, befriended his mom.
And his mom had the ability to, like, drain magic.
Yeah,
right?
she drained magic, which is also why she gave Asta up, but also the reason why Asta has no magic.
Because she drained all his magic.
She drained all his magic before he was even born. So, but it is very, like, the whole scene where you're figuring out his devil's past is basically his devil had anti-magic and basically he lived the same life as Asta, where he grew up and everyone was
they also look like each other, which is apparently a coincidence, but it's also kind of funny.
Yeah, where he grew up, and the reason why he also has such hate towards the devils as well is because the devil Lucifero killed Asta's mom, and she saved him, but she also sealed him away.
In the grimoire.
Sealed him in the grimoire to protect him. Yeah. So it's all kind of tied together, basically. But basically, where the story ends is that they just lost and they need to regroup because Yami's gone, and so is Vengeance, and they need to get them back before they open up the tree.
But one key plot point is Asta has basically merged with his devil at this point.
Well, what happened, a sense, Asta gave his arm away during the fight to the devil.
Yes.
And they also run into this hidden character who's actually the vice captain.
Yeah, because there's another Black Bull that just appears.
Well, this whole time he was actually doing a scouting mission in the Clover Kingdom, and he was a spy, basically. So he comes back and he basically tells them everything that's going to happen and is like, in order for us to win, we have to follow these circumstances, which leads into the Asta training arc.
Yes.
Again. But this time, what they need to do is Asta needs to basically fully take his devil's power. Because remember, at this point before here, Asta was barely using 1% of the devil's power. So...
And he was still massively powerful, which says a lot.
Yeah. So, and that's basically where it leaves off of okay, Asta's going to finish his training, the rest of the magical knights will train, and then they're going to go fight the devils. And rescue Yami and Vengeance.
Yeah. But before we move on to that, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Woo!
And we're back.
I love our new microphone. It's so fun to torture Bill with.
So, continuing on.
If I get really close and scream, he doesn't like it. We have to put headphones on when we use this mic, and it's great.
Yeah. But anyways, so moving on. So the second show we picked for my choice was Yu Yu Hakusho, which Yu Yu Hakusho has been kind of like a running gag with us for a while, where it's been like, when are you gonna watch Yu Yu Hakusho? You should watch Yu Yu Hakusho. You keep saying you're gonna watch Yu Yu Hakusho. It's
when are you gonna watch it?
So we were originally gonna do a different series that we'll get into at a later point.
Yeah.
But it was too long because it was even longer than Black Clover. Hiccups.
Sorry.
Black Clover is 170 episodes long.
Yes.
As of now. The one we wanted to do was even longer.
Yeah.
So we decided instead to do Yu Yu Hakusho, which was a more manageable 112.
Yeah.
So Yu Yu Hakusho is a classic anime, so it originally came out in the early 90s.
Yes.
And then eventually it got dubbed in like the early 2000s by Funimation.
Yes.
So it was like right after Dragon Ball Z, essentially.
Yes.
And I've had this one on my list for a while. Like I had seen the first like 5 episodes at my friend Matt's house. Matt, he guested in the Dragon Ball Z superhero episode.
Hi, Matt.
We had watched like the first 5 episodes, and I liked what I saw. It was one of those things where it's like I never got around to watching more of it.
And now you did.
But
for content.
The show is one of the older shows out there. Like it was created. So it's based off a manga that started. So the manga itself started in 1990 and ended in 94, and it was written by Yoshihiro Tagashi.
Yes.
Who is also the creator of Hunter x Hunter.
Yes.
Another show we've talked about in the past.
Everyone sent him well wishes and that he feels better.
He's not doing
the
greatest
right now.
And he's also married to the creator of Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
Which is funny because there is actually some Sailor Moon references in this show at times, which is really funny.
I wonder if they were married at the time.
I think they were.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. But so this show was his first major big time manga. And it was adapted between 92 and 94, which is interesting because the anime adaptation also ended around the time the manga ended, which is kind of funny. We didn't get it, though, till the early 2000s.
No.
And it shows this is definitely a 90s anime because
it
is the... So what I always laugh about, 90s anime have the most 80s music themes. Yeah, I love the Yu Yu Hakusho intro.
It's a good intro. Bobo flying on her broom.
Yeah. So...
Okay, just for context, what's her actual name?
The character's name is Botan. Alex likes to call her Bobo.
It was a joke in the beginning. I started calling her that at the beginning of this series as a joke, but then I just kept doing it, and it got to the point where I just forgot her name, and Bill starts calling her Bobo, too. Bobo!
Yeah. So the show itself is... A lot of people like to describe it as it's just Dragon Ball Z again, because it has a similar structure in a sense. Mm-hmm. But the show follows... it starts off and it follows the main character, Yusuke Urameshi, who is a middle school student, supposed to be 15, 14, I think.
Yeah.
And he is the standard anime delinquent character. He's got the slicked back hair. He doesn't wear the standard school uniform.
Yep.
He's just basically a punk.
Yeah.
But he's not a bad guy. He's just a
punk,
misunderstood guy, I guess. Mm. And the anime starts where literally he's going to school, one of the rare times he does, and he runs into his friend, childhood friend Keiko.
Tofu Honda.
Yeah, voiced by Laura Bailey in the anime.
Tofu Honda.
And they kind of mess with each other. She scolds him for not going to school a lot, and he basically blows her off. He's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So he's later shown, after he gets kind of, berated by the teachers, the 2 douchebag teachers and the 1 actual, solid teacher.
Yeah.
He kind of ditches school despite their best wishes, and he's kind of walking down the street, and he sees a child playing with a ball in the street. And he immediately was kid's going to get himself killed. He's like, don't run around in the street.
Yeah.
So then the kid immediately throws the ball in the street and runs in the middle of the street as a car is coming down.
Yep.
And Yusuke basically goes and jumps in front of the car to save the kid.
Yeah.
And he dies.
Yep.
So he dies in in episode 1.
Yep. Dead.
And his ghost is immediately then visited by the Grim
Bobo!
Reaper named Botan, who is
Bobo!
the most amusing character in the show.
Yes.
And he gets brought to the underworld, which is essentially kind of this gate between heaven and hell. And he meets up
Bicky Boy.
Yeah. What's his actual name?
It's
Koenma.
Koenma. Yeah.
Bicky Boy. He's a spirit. They're not really demons. They're just basically.
Well, he's the son of the devil.
Yes, kind of in a way. They're basically just. They're not really demons. They're basically just underworldly beings.
Yeah.
But they're not from the demon world. They're kind of from the underworld. It's confusing.
Yes.
But he basically gives Yusuke this offer to become a spirit detective, but he's got to come back to life first, and he's got to basically do all these good deeds to get the spirit egg. And if he does enough good deeds, the spirit egg will hatch, and it will be something that he must defeat and get his life back.
Yep.
The thing is, though, if he doesn't do enough good deeds, it'll come back as this monster that will kill him.
Yeah.
So the whole first few episodes is basically Yusuke going around doing good deeds, like helping people by possessing them.
Yeah.
Including,
and he's doing it very begrudgingly, too.
And at one point, like, there's, like, this, like, schoolgirl that gets, like, mugged by these punks. Mm-hmm. So he just possesses the schoolgirl and beats the shit out of the punks as the schoolgirl. And then goes back, leaves her body, and she's like, like so confused.
Yeah.
And then at one point, he's got to, like, basically his body isn't decomposing. It's kind of just, like, in limbo right now.
Yeah.
And his mother is basically a alcoholic and drunk all the time, so she's never really paying attention much, even though she is very sad that he died.
Yeah.
And his body's just kind of laying there in, like, trash.
Yeah.
And basically he basically has to, like, tell Keiko that he's still alive and that he's coming back, but he needs her to protect his body. Yep. So he does this by possessing the next major character in the show.
Urmeshi.
No. His real name is...
Urmeshi.
You're at the point where I actually legitimately forgot his name. His name is Kazuma Kuwabara.
Kuwabara, yeah.
Who is one of the best characters in the show.
He's voiced by Yomai.
He's voiced by Chris Sabat, and it's like it's like a more nasally version of his Vegeta voice, but he's like the best because he's also a punk, but he's like more of like a
goofball.
He's more of a punk that actually has like a softer side.
Yep.
Your cat's being a spaz right now.
What is she doing?
There's probably a bird or something.
You can see her stomach primordial pouch hanging.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, so he takes over Kazuma's body to basically talk to Keiko, and of course the way to get Keiko to realize it's actually him is he has him grab her boobs, which is really 90s.
Yes.
Can't
do that anymore.
No. But basically he gets through to her that he's coming back and they hug, but he's in Kazuma's body. So then once he loses his control of Kazuma's like, hey, this is kind of nice. And Keiko slaps him in the face and runs off.
Kazuma also has like natural spirit
abilities. Like he can sense ghosts. That's why he knows when Yusuke's around.
Yeah, he's like,
what the hell?
Oh, he's always like scared.
But so to continue doing good deeds though, Yusuke goes around and he like helps Kuwabara like passes this test that he needs to pass, and the school's trying to like screw him out of it by being like, because they're dicks.
Yeah, but the teachers are just assholes.
Except for the one that's good.
Yeah.
Who like actually?
It's okay. You never see them towards the half.
Well, no, they go away after like the first arc.
Yeah.
But eventually, we get to the point where Yusuke is pretty close to getting his body back, but of course, someone vandalizes his house.
And sets it on fire.
Well, they throw a Molotov through the window to because they're arsonists.
Yeah.
And his body's just chilling there, so they have to go save it because his mother went out on another drinking binge, so she's not home. So he's basically like trying to get, but at the same time, Keiko's mom had like a heart attack or something. So Keiko's in the hospital and doesn't notice Yusuke at the time, and then they see the smoke and they basically are like running down.
I thought.
Oh no! Actually,
I think that's after.
That's after.
Yeah.
They see the smoke first, and they go to save his body, and they basically run in, and Keiko basically gets trapped inside because the fire overwhelms her.
Yeah.
And Yusuke basically gets given the chance of he can sacrifice his spirit egg to save her right now, or he can die. So he's basically like screwed either way. Yeah. So of course he throws the spirit egg to save her, and then Kazuma shows up and helps them both out, get his body out. And then it's basically he's moved to they get a new apartment essentially, and he's moved there. The thing is though, now there's the catch. He's ready to come back, but he needs like to be kissed by someone like close to him. Yeah. To get his power back, which means it's either
at a certain period of time too.
Period of time once his body like glows like gold the entire way.
Yeah.
So he basically has the choice of either Kazuma. No, it's Keiko, his mom, or Kuwabara. And he has this really like fucked up dream sequence of Kuwabara, and he's like, nope.
Well, no, doesn't he try and go in his dreams?
No. First, he obviously goes to Keiko first. Yeah. And Keiko's all for it, but she basically gets impatient because it's taking too long. Yeah. So she goes
and
off.
And then the thing with her mom happens.
She goes to visit her mom. So then, meanwhile, his mom is off on a drinking binge again.
Yeah.
So not in the picture. And then he tries invading Kuwabara's head. Kuwabara's like,
no, thank you.
So eventually Keiko does go and kiss him when she needs to.
And nobody questions when he comes back to life.
No. Basically just, he's back.
Yes.
He rescues Kuwabara's kitty.
Meow.
Because Kuwabara likes cats.
Meow.
So then after that...
I like cats. Where's my cat?
She's in the window.
Oh, I miss her.
So after that, though, he comes back, and now he has this job as a spirit detective, where he basically has the ability to, like, detect demons.
Spirit gun!
Yeah, in the real world, he has, like, this spirit gun technique. And we basically go through where now we're running into all these... We have to introduce the rest of the characters to the show.
Yes.
So first we see... So there's these 3, like, demon artifacts that they have to get. Mm-hmm. The first one is... it's owned by this, like, rando that, like, isn't important in the long run.
Yeah. It takes, like, the souls of kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get that one back pretty easily and dispose of him. The other 2 are now possessed by the 2 important characters. We get Kurama,
yes,
who is another... Well, at first appearance, he's another student from a different school. But he's actually possessed by this demon.
Yes. But it works differently, though, than other possessions.
Yeah, we find out more about it later. Mm. And then there's also Hiei, who is...
A demon.
A straight-up demon who is kind of an ass at first.
Yeah.
But it makes sense later.
Yeah.
Emo. Yeah. So Kurama gets... Basically, Kurama's whole thing is he has this item, and he's basically trying to, like, save his mother, who is dying.
Yeah.
Because he does actually have a mom in the spirit world.
Yes.
In the real world.
Yes.
And essentially, like, it gets to the point where, like, he has the choice, like, he's going to sacrifice his life to save his mother.
Yeah.
But Yusuke decides he's going to sacrifice his own life instead. And the mirror essentially decides this is the better deed and basically lets them both keep their lives and saves his mother.
Yay!
So then Kurama kind of joins the group in a sense. Then Hiei's story is a bit more weird because Hiei's just kind of a dick.
Yeah.
But they kind of go through this whole plot with Hiei where it's like he kind of like shows off. He's got this like third, like a Jinkan eye, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And Hiei's whole backstory, like motive here is kind of just like whatever. They end up going through that, and Hiei is kind of like he's trapped in the real world because like shit, what's his name? I keep forgetting Binky Boy's name.
Oh, Binky Boy. I love that you call him Binky Boy.
You've just established it at this point, and I just kind of am stuck with it now.
Yeah. Binky Boy.
Koenma. Basically, he's stuck there.
Koenma.
So
he
now
kind of talks like this.
Yeah, well, he's always got a binky in.
Yes. That's a pretty good impression. I'm kind of impressed with myself.
But anyways, so he is kind of trapped.
What's Bobo been doing this whole time?
She's helping them.
Oh, she is?
Sort of. No. She's there in the background. She brings them like equipment
snacks.
Every now and then.
She brings snacks.
She's also there to just be like the guidance
and
keep Keiko company in the background.
Yeah. Bobo.
Well, no, because remember Keiko is being
oh yeah, Tofu Honda.
She's being possessed by that thing that's like going to take over her. Like she'll become a demon. And this is during the Hiei thing where she's...
Oh, yeah.
And Botan has to, like, keep it from taking over. That's what Botan's doing at this point.
Yeah.
So eventually, though, they have to start training because there's this upcoming tournament called the Dark Tournament. Which is basically a tournament of demons.
The Tournament of Power.
But,
Goku's gonna come on in and...
Yusuke needs to go train. And essentially, he's going to train with this... old basically master who was named
well, isn't it? It's a competition in order to get her power. Like,
yeah,
to be taught her power. The spirit wave.
The spirit wave. So
Genkai.
He goes
before she dies.
Yeah, he goes and meets with Genkai, who is basically the elder like martial arts. She's basically the Master Roshi of this universe, but not a perv.
Yeah.
And kind of just badass all the time.
Yeah.
But eventually, he goes through the whole competition and ends up getting the training. So he goes off on this whole training thing for like a couple of weeks and then comes back. But he still isn't even that much more powerful.
Yeah,
yet.
He still hasn't unlocked the spirit wave yet because Genkai still can do the spirit wave and has her powers at this point.
So eventually, then they go to the actual like dark tournament, and the team that they bring is obviously it's Yusuke, it's Kuwabara,
Yes.
Hiei, and Kurama, along with this mysterious masked fighter.
Yes.
And
masked lady fighter.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna give the full rundown of the tournament because it's really long and the arc's a little infuriating too at times because like everybody at that tournament is so fucking annoying.
Yeah,
like some of the fighters are pretty cool. It's the audience is so annoying because they're so like anti-human.
Well, the thing is like Urameshi's team is basically there as the like they're like the guest of honor, but really like they're the human team that everyone wants to watch die, basically. Yeah.
But of course, they go through all the fights, and like, you know who the most annoying character in this thing is? Too, the fucking announcer.
The cat one or the
both
fish one? Oh,
they're both annoying.
And she comes back.
Well, she comes back. Apparently, the fish bitch died.
Good. No.
But yeah, so they
fish
go.
Bitch,
they go through.
Bitch.
They go through all the fights.
Bobo bitch.
They go through all the fights, and progressively, like it's implied that like the people running the tournament are pulling the strings to basically screw over Yusuke's team the entire time.
Yes.
And at one point, it's unveiled during one of the fights. The masked person is fighting, and her mask gets knocked off, and it's like this young woman who looks very similar to Genkai.
Like almost as if it was Genkai when she was younger.
And essentially, in the background, we start learning more about like the main like leaders. Like the main guy who's like basically looks like Duke Nukem with shades.
Yeah.
He's being hyped up essentially as the final boss of this thing. Like
yeah,
he's gonna
it's
be
the Toguro brothers.
Yes.
Yeah.
But only one of them really matters. The other one sucks.
Yeah. Well, he's strong, but like he's creepy.
But he sucks.
He's creepy.
But like every time like the people running the organization the fight try to like rig it. Mm-hmm. He literally will step in and be like, no.
Well, because like his whole goal, like the reason why the fight is happening really is because he wants to fight Yusuke. He wants to fight
Yusuke because it's implied. We learn as it goes on that he's actually he used to be like partners with Genkai back in the day, and he basically gave up his humanity for power. Yeah. And she chose to just grow old and not take like the demon route.
Yeah.
So as they go on, like he's basically the whole time he's like taunting like Yusuke, but he's also taunting Genkai once he realizes Genkai is there.
Yeah. And well, because when she's fighting in one of the rounds, the mask
gets knocked off, and he sees her younger self. They don't quite realize right away that it's her.
Yeah.
So then she basically talks to Yusuke after and basically gives him all her power essentially, so he can do the spirit wave. Yeah. And then she gets off screen murdered.
Well, it's on screen, but
she gets murdered by
and she like kind of knows it's going to happen too.
Yeah, and it's all just to get Yusuke to wake up, basically. Yes. So we get finally through the final fights, and we get to essentially the climactic fight where it's you saw it coming from the end.
Yeah.
Where it's Yusuke versus
Toguro.
Great fight, like.
Yeah.
Really great. So the Dark Tournament I found really irritating as we went through, but this fight was worth it.
The payoff was worth it. Yeah.
And the fight is rough. Like,
well, all the fights in that last round are really good. Like Kurama versus the guy who just wouldn't die. Like he kept getting.
And they still cheated him there too. Which pissed me off.
because he technically didn't win the round.
Yeah, which was annoying, but whatever. But yeah, Yusuke fights off, and like this fight goes on for a while because it's like Yusuke still isn't taking it serious, like he should be. So like to the point where like now Togoro's basically just messing with him now.
Yeah.
And the whole time too, like everyone knows Genkai died except for Kuwabara because he's
they're keeping it from Kuwabara.
Yeah. Oh, I just realized we completely forgot to talk about Yukina.
Who's that?
The ice girl.
Oh, the sister.
They go to rescue, like the whole part of that.
Honestly, like it's just...
Yeah, it really was. Didn't.
Before this, they have to go and rescue Yukina, who is actually his sister.
It gets explained later.
And Kuwabara is in love with her.
Madly in love with her.
Yeah. But basically, they have to rescue her, and at the end of the rescue, they end up fighting the Toguro brothers, and they think they defeat him, but really he was just messing with him.
Yeah.
And they faked it.
But yeah, I kind of forgot about that. I just kind of remember.
And there's like this guy who literally looks like
his face is melted.
His face is
yeah.
It's gross. A meatball.
I forgot about that because during the tournament, like the girls are all
his face out.
Well, during the tournament, the girls are all in like the audience because like anyone can come to the tournament.
Yeah.
And you'll see them in the audience every now and then. I just remembered Yukina was there. But so back to the final fight. So Yusuke still isn't taking it serious, and basically like Toguro is like messing with him now. Like he's like aiming at the audience to like piss him off.
Yeah.
Like he tries to kill like Keiko and them, and it still doesn't get Yusuke to wake up until finally he goes and seemingly off screen kills Kuwabara.
Yeah. Psych.
We'll get to that, and then that finally wakes him up, and then we get this fucking massive like fight. Toguro also becomes this fucking mutant thing as it goes on.
He just like it's almost like he completely loses his humanity.
But eventually they do fight, and basically once he wins, Toguro actually smiles and he's like, "This is what I wanted."
Yes.
And he dies on his own.
Yeah. And
then the guy running the tournament, the guy in the business suit who's like in every anime, I swear.
Yes.
He just blows up the stadium, and they all go.
Well, because his whole goal was that he would win, and then they would
open the portal between the.
Well, they would dig a tunnel to the. Wasn't it like it's? They
wanted to dig a path between the demon world and the real world.
Yeah.
But once he
Buzz.
Once he actually like finishes that, he goes to basically commit suicide in his built in his like little like stadium as it collapses around him. Although in the background he had like developed a relationship with Kuwabara's sister, who is an even better like spirit detector than Kuwabara, but she just doesn't give enough of a shit.
She doesn't care.
Honestly, like I'd watch the Bobo Shizuru
and Bitches show.
The Bobo and Shizuru show, because they're more interesting half the time than anything. There's also this point where Keiko goes catatonic during the fight.
It was when Genkai, when they revealed Genkai died.
Genkai died, and then Yusuke was getting like absolutely like wrecked.
Well, no, but like the reason why she lost is when they found out that Genkai didn't die.
But there's
and then he punches her away.
There's a scene where like they can't get Keiko to wake up, so then Yusuke just slaps the shit out of her, and I'm like,
it's a gift if you want it, people. Bill found it.
There's a gift of it.
He made it.
But I was like, wow, that's
can't do that anymore.
But of course, after that, then they go back to like reality, and now they're going to school again. And then they get their next mission because surprise, someone else is trying to open a portal to Demon World now. So then we get this really fun arc where like it's like this castle where like they go in and immediately it's like they have to like go through these different like portals to rescue
Yusuke.
Yeah, to rescue Yusuke because Yusuke got kidnapped by this guy who can stop people with shadows.
Yeah.
And as they're going through, like the whole plot is like each room is like a puzzle. So there's like this one room where you can't say certain words.
Yeah.
And he of course immediately gets freaking captured, which is funny. Followed by Botan and Kuwabara. And Kurama ends up actually like going through this whole thing, and he basically the whole thing is they can't say certain letters, and they count down from Z all the way to A. And by the time they get to the end, basically there's like only one letter left, which is A, and the guy's all confident he's gonna win, but then Kurama like turns the entire place into a forest.
Yeah.
And then just sneaks up behind him and just basically goes boo, and he goes ah, and like immediately gets kidnapped. So then they go through, and it's a few more flights of stairs until they eventually get to the end of the thing where it's actually revealed this was all a test by Genkai.
Yeah, because there's a greater enemy out there.
Yep. And the whole also going back to the tournament, Kuwabara faked his death.
Oh yeah, and Genkai gets revived.
Yeah. The Kuwabara one I still called bullshit on. He got his heart ripped out. How the hell? I don't know.
It was a fake.
Well, no, he claims that he missed him by like an inch, but I'm like, he ripped your heart out.
Well, I don't know.
I was like, but yeah.
Movie magic. Ooh.
But anyways, going back, so then we get this whole like backstory about the actual like there's another threat that's even bigger than the Kuwabara. What's the name?
Toguro Brothers.
The Toguro Brothers.
And it's actually the former spirit detective.
Yeah, it's actually Yusuke's predecessor.
Yep.
Who completely went evil.
Yep.
And he's like he's like way eviler than anyone so far.
Yes.
But basically, the entire world now is being inhabited by these like spirit bugs that are essentially turning people into demons. And basically, the whole time they're basically going through this like underworld kind of thing because they're going to face off with this guy.
Yeah.
And the whole time it's like the fight is very like one-sided. Like Hiei gets wrecked, Kurama gets wrecked, Kuwabara gets wrecked.
Yeah,
and
get wrecked.
Yusuke essentially is like going on one-on-one, and it's actually revealed. So then here's where the plot gets silly.
Yes.
So they're basically in this underground like thing where they had to like go through at one point they had to go through like this video game world to get there.
Yeah.
And they get another friend to the group. They go through all this stuff just to get to Senzu, I think his name is. And when we get there, then we find out that Yusuke is actually part demon, apparently.
Oh, he has like a demon bloodline.
His grand ancestor, I guess, like was like
one of the strongest demons.
Yeah. And it's like suddenly he has this like demon power. So like he has like this demon form, like where he gets like super long hair.
Yeah.
And they basically fight, and then at one point, Koenma, like, because Koenma can change into like this teenage form when he wants.
Yeah.
They basically like go into this like he shows up, and then his binky is actually like the pacifier is actually like a magical spell that he's like
storing power into,
and he's trying to use it to stop Senzu, but Yusuke stops him.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is essentially it's like the final climax is Yusuke goes full power, and they finally face off with each other, and he basically beats him once and for all.
Yeah.
And basically that ends things, so you think.
Yeah.
Like we go back to the real world, and like they're all going back to school again. Kuwabara's trying to become a better person.
And Yusuke is like really struggling with like kind of settling back into normality.
Yeah. Like cuz now he's like he realizes he's not normal. But he's also no longer allowed to be a spirit detective because
Koenma's dad is just like Yusuke must die.
Yeah, because he's part of this demon race that they want exterminated.
Yeah.
So essentially they're on the run now. Like Koenma's not even like part of the thing anymore. Bobo's like on her own now.
Bobo.
And
Bobo is like not exactly working for the underworld anymore.
Mm-hmm. And then Keiko is kind of like trying to get Yusuke to come back to school, but he's not.
Yeah, but he's really struggling.
So finally, then we get to this. So this is where it gets weird, because behind the scenes stuff, apparently the creator wanted to end the series with the Senzu fight, but the publisher wanted more.
Yeah.
So now we get this final arc called the Three Kings arc.
And you can very much tell in this arc that he was not all for this.
No, and this arc is very unnecessary in a lot of ways.
Especially because it's like, oh, another tournament.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we get to the Three Kings arc. Essentially now it's like they have to go to Demon World again.
Yes.
Because now we need to actually face off with... Yusuke needs to basically...
Well, Yusuke is... Before that, it's like Yusuke's really kind of struggling with who he is, and he actually wants to find this ancestor and learn from him.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of before that even happens, though, they end up approaching him about, like, they end up finding him first.
Yeah. So he basically gets told that he's going to go to the Demon World for 3 years.
Yeah.
So he basically tells both... here's another thing. If you're a fan of Kuwabara, you're not going to like this arc, because he is not present at all.
No, he's not in it at all.
Because it's the Three Kings.
Yeah.
Not the Four.
Not the Four.
So...
Sorry, Kuwabara.
Basically, he tells Keiko...
he
he basically tells Keiko that he loves her, but he's got to do this, so he's going to go away for 3 years, and he'll see her in 3 years.
Yeah.
And he basically tells Kuwabara that he wants to see him actually become that college graduate that he planned on being. So then he goes off to the Demon World, and he meets his ancestor, who sees him as a son more. Yeah. But he's also dying because he's...
Yeah, because they all call him his son.
Yeah, because it's a weird ancestral thing.
Yeah.
But the whole thing with him is he's essentially one of the 3 most powerful demons down there. But he stopped eating humans because he fell in love with a human.
Yeah.
So he's dying because he hasn't eaten in like centuries.
Yeah.
But then, so it's implied that Yusuke is training there. But then we cut to now we get backstory time for Hiei and Kurama. And this is the most interesting part of this arc, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So we find out Hiei is actually... So we knew he was the twin brother of Yukina.
Yeah.
Despite them not looking anything alike. And Yukina is an ice spirit.
Yes.
So we find out what happened there. Mm-hmm. Essentially, it was a race of these all women who just... They essentially, like, there's no men around, and they're in this, like, a floating island.
Yeah.
And it's like every so often, like, one of them will get pregnant and have another girl.
Yeah.
Unless they leave the island and...
Yeah.
So she has both a daughter and a male, and essentially the male is outcast, and she's outcast for going against their ways.
Yeah.
And they essentially... Hiei is cast off the island.
Yeah.
And it's his mother that...
Literally as a baby,
Yeah, he's thrown off the island, and he only lives because he's that powerful.
Yeah.
And you find out that his entire goal is to get revenge on the people, and then he eventually does actually get back to the island, only to discover...
It's not even worth it.
It's not worth... Like, his mother committed suicide, and the woman that threw him off is, like...
Like, literally wants him to kill her.
Yeah, so he just says, the hell with it, and just goes. He also lost his... Because each child from that area gets, like, this, like, crystal...
It's a tear.
Gem that forms from the mother when they're born. Like, because Yukina's able to produce them, because that's why the fat bitch has her kidnapped, because she produces those gems, which are worth a lot. That's also why Yukina is looking for Hiei the entire time, because she actually wants to lead him back to the island to kill them all. Basically, she wants him to commit genocide on her race.
Yeah. So she's even like, I fucking hate these people.
Well, because Yukina escaped.
Yeah.
Like, on her own. But yeah, so that's Hiei's backstory, which is actually pretty cool. Like, it's even depressing, like, the people who found him as a baby, even they become afraid of him because of his, like, extreme bloodlust.
Yeah.
But that's also why he has the Jinkan eye, because he gets the eye because he wants to find his little jewel that he lost.
Yeah.
But anyways, so moving on from there, then we also get Kurama's backstory. And Kurama's backstory is less interesting, but it is kind of interesting too.
Yeah.
He was essentially a demon that possessed, like, the unborn child of this, like, family.
Yeah.
And that's why he's got the human mother. And he also apparently killed... He had attacked the leader of one of the three kings, honestly the most interesting of the three kings, and, like, blinded him. Yeah. And because of that, this particular character, I forget his name.
Yeah, I forget too.
I always forget the three kings' names because they're so meh. They're not the most interesting characters. But anyways, yeah, so he's just basically there to... crap, this is going to bug the shit out of me.
Elevator music.
So Raizen's the one that's Yusuke's ancestral father.
Yes.
Mukuru is the female one that... Yomi, that's his name.
Yomi.
Yeah, Yomi's the one that recruits Kurama. And essentially it's because he wants to get revenge on Yoko Kurama. But then he finds out Kurama is actually not the same character, and he's basically thrown away that part of his life. Yeah. So he kind of gets, like, this sense of respect for him after that. And then, so the whole point is it's basically building up to this final tournament. And the tournament itself is incredibly lame. Yeah. Like, it is, like, so... It goes by...
This is definitely where you can tell that, like, he was not into this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the fact that it's, like, a tournament and then another tournament is just, like, lame. You know, a little lame.
Well, because, like, before this, it's shown that Yusuke defeated Raizen in a fight, and then Raizen finally passed on. Yeah. But then we also get... Besides that, there's also... So the tournament starts, and it's just so lame. Like, the fights go by so fast. Yeah. The fight with Yomi is pretty cool, but what's annoying about that fight is it ends abruptly, and then you find out afterwards that, oh yeah, Yusuke lost. Yeah. Oh, and then Yumi also lost like right after.
And then this random guy just is the king of the underworld now.
And then he's just like all of a sudden starts all these rules and stuff, and he makes basically the demon world a better place.
Yeah.
Which was a nice ending, I felt, but it was like that's how they came to that conclusion.
Yeah. And then it just is kind of like, and then they end up going back.
Well, then we go back to the human world because there's a 3-year time skip at this point.
Yeah.
Because this Yusuke's whole quest took place in 3 years. Basically, all the Keiko and Kuwabara's high school years.
Yeah.
So we cut to like the end where like they're getting ready for like college and stuff, and they're basically going to go meet with Genkai.
Genkai.
And the whole time they're kind of like Keiko finally just is like had enough of Yusuke's shit, and it's basically like, if you're never going to show up, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then he's being like, hey, I'm right here. He just pops up. It's like, oh. And then they finally kiss, and that's basically how the series ends.
Yeah.
Apparently the manga is more fleshed out in the ending, so I might have to read that. But
yeah, you have it.
I know I do.
You bought
have
it all.
I bought it. It's actually not that long, so
yeah.
But yeah, that's how it ends. I will say the ending was good. I liked the ending.
Yeah.
I just thought the final arc was lame.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
Yeah, so I guess to recap, so Black Clover I liked a lot.
Well, I find it like Black Clover. I find both of the series funny where they're similar to well, one is kind of you have a lot of comparisons to Naruto,
And the other is very similar to Dragon Ball.
Well, Dragon Ball, and then like you can definitely see Hunter x Hunter pulled a lot from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Well, the reason why the final arc is so lame is because he didn't want to do Yu Yu Hakusho.
No,
anymore.
he wanted to do Hunter x Hunter. So it's definitely it's interesting.
What's also funny too is both anime were created by the same studio, Studio Parrot.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But so Black Clover I liked a lot. I will say one thing about Black Clover that is a little upsetting is it gets really good right when it ends.
And the problem with that is just it all comes down to that they ran out of manga to animate. They didn't have any, and even now, I feel like if they started animating again, I don't think it would be enough material to last that long.
Also, we don't know how much longer he's going to write it.
Yeah. And the thing about Black Clover, too, is that, like, there's some filler, but there really is not a lot of filler.
Yeah, there was, like, the one filler arc they tried, and it was so lame.
Yeah, I didn't even touch it because it was just lame. It was, like, the Demon Worshipper arc or something, and it's lame.
I will say one thing about Black Clover that I really liked compared to Yu Yu Hakusho is Black Clover really goes all out in focusing on the characters.
Yeah, like you really learn a lot about the characters.
Every member of the Black Bulls is fleshed out.
Yeah,
a lot.
Like I didn't even because I was trying to cover so much material in one. I barely even scraped the surface on all the characters of the Black Bulls. There's so all of them get fleshed out. They all get their moments, and even I've read the manga too. So in where I'm at, and they even get more fleshed out in the manga as well.
Yeah. Now Yu Yu Hakusho, on the other hand, it's a good show. I really did enjoy it. It's very much what I consider like the junk food tier of anime, though.
Yeah.
Where it's something you kind of watch like when you just want something mindless in a lot of ways. Because while the plot of Yu Yu Hakusho is interesting, there's not a lot going on aside from the basic plot of demon world, human world.
And especially the Tournament of Power arc. No, that's Dragon Ball. Especially the Dark Tournament.
The Dark Tournament goes on. It's a lot earlier in the show than I thought it was.
Yeah.
It also goes on for a while.
It does. And at points it does feel like it's dragging.
What's funny though is both shows were dubbed by Funimation.
Yeah.
Or Crunchyroll now, I guess technically.
Crunchy Fun.
What's funny is you watch Yu Yu Hakusho and you listen to the dub and it's like a who's who of all the classic Funimation VAs.
Yeah.
Like Justin Cook as Yusuke. You had John Bugmeyer as Kurama.
Yep.
Chuck Huber as Hiei.
Yeah.
Laura Bailey as Keiko.
And I think
Cynthia Kranz as Botan.
And then I think Black Clover introduced a lot of newer actors.
Era. Yeah. Because the new the Black Clover movie is coming out soon, and Netflix is handling it, which has led to a lot of worry that they're not going to bring the dub cast back, which to me would be tragic because the dub cast, especially Asta's voice. Who voices Asta? Because he's perfect for the role.
Yeah, I really don't know what they're going to do. I feel like people will be very upset. Um, especially because, like, it's
so
not like
Asta's voiced by Dallas Reed, and he's part because I've heard his Japanese dub too, and it's the Japanese dub is so unlistenable.
Yeah, a lot of people actually have told, like, I've talked to about anime and stuff with, was like, even like a lot of people listen to the dub over the sub, like, and even the people who are like, I only listen to, I only watch sub,
staunch
like,
sub only people.
Just because like Asta's Japanese VA is like very high pitched, and like he screams a lot in the American
Dallas
version,
Reed screams
and just
a lot as it is. So.
And just imagine that, but
worse.
A lot worse in Japanese. So yeah.
I did enjoy both, though. I will say Black Clover has more potential. Unfortunately, it's not done.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think it probably won't get a revival for a while just because of where they're at. I think they need to establish a lot more beforehand. But they are doing the movie, even though the movie is a side story.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have, because originally I thought the movie was going to be like, oh, it's going to be the next volumes, but it's not. It's its own story. So yeah. So I really don't know.
Yu Yu Hakusho, on the other hand, is what I'd consider like a classic of the era. It starts off really great, and then it kind of ends kind of just because of reasons. But good. It's definitely a must. I'd say it's worth the watch. I'm not sure I'd call it a must watch because it's definitely on the older side. The animation, I will say, got really good though as it went on.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I wanted to bring up. Like the fluidity in some of the fighting, especially in that battle with Yusuke and Senzu. The animation in that is really amazing. Like just how fluid the body. We forgot to talk about how they don't blink. Yeah, if you watch that show, just pay attention because no one freaking blinks in Yu Yu Hakusho.
There was a scene in that where it's like a close up of Botan's face, and the whole time me and I was going like,
blink,
Botan, blink,
Botan,
please
blink.
She went on for like 10 minutes and didn't blink. It was like, whoa.
I guess it's just the things I didn't think about back then, and like the things now that you see, like it looks like they kind of take more time into making them blink.
Also, the 90s, it was a different time.
But yeah, they didn't blink at all.
Especially because the way he draws eyes are very expressive, so it's like when they don't blink, it's weird.
It's weird. It's just like dead stare.
Yeah, but anyways, so yeah, I definitely liked both.
Yeah, and it was definitely a fun anime swap to do something so ambitious, but we're probably gonna not do something as ambitious next time.
We're gonna stick to shorter anime for the time being, probably under 100 episodes. Because that's a lot to recap. Yeah. Because we didn't even scratch the surface.
All right, guys. Next one is One Piece.
Yeah, okay.
Let's get watching.
All right. But anyways, guys, once again, thanks for joining us on the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. The Gaming and Collecting Podcast can be found on all your major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. You can also follow us on all the social media, particularly Instagram, Twitter, GoodPods. And until next time, guys, we will see you all later.
Also, let us know how the mic is. Because we didn't mention that the last one, but we did get a new mic.
Yep.
So let us know how you like it. How you like it. I just made that really creepy. I'm so sorry.
And with that, we will see you all next time.
Bye.